Hi, welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. Great to have you in the conversation. Got a polling data from Fox News indicating that 61% of the American people believe that Barack Obama is a liar. 61% of the American people believe that he is a liar. They also believe, by the way, he's not black, that he's of mixed race. A majority of the American people, 52%, believe that he's of mixed race descent. Everybody talks about him being the first black president. The majority of Americans don't think of him that way. They think of him as of mixed race descent. And 61% believe that he's a liar. 37% of registered voters believe that he lies most of the time on important matters. 24% said he lies some of the time. So that's 61%, 37 plus 24. And only 15% believe that President Obama never lies. Only 15% of the American people believe that he tells the truth and believe that he is trustworthy. And 40% of liberals, even people that are in his own camp, on his own team, 40% of liberals think that he lies some or most of the time. And of course, that's just devastating because obviously here's our leader, and the American people overwhelmingly say, look, this is a guy, you can't trust a word that comes out of this guy's mouth. You know, the erosion of credibility, you know, and you wonder why millennials, I mean, we had this story yesterday, millennials don't want to go into politics. Well, and I think part of it maybe, look at the role models they've got here. Look at Republicans, most of them are spineless, and you look at the president, and he's a liar, and people say, why would I want to go hang out with a crew like that? They're either spineless or they're completely untrustworthy. What would draw me to go in to that kind of work? So that I find to be a pretty sobering reality. And, you know, it's interesting that, you know, you expect the media to be on top of this. This is their job. It's the media's job to probe. It's the media's job to ask questions. It's the media's job to write the truth. And Jay Carney this morning was saying that the toughest interview that Barack Obama had in 2012 was his interview with Jon Stewart. He's a comedian. His program, I think his program is on Comedy Central, isn't it? Isn't that where, The Daily Show is on Comedy Central. So what Jay Carney is admitting, he got tougher questions from this comedian than he ever got from ABC or NBC or CBS or the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times or the Washington Post. Toughest interview was with a comedian. Now, what that tells you is the media simply irresponsible, not doing its job of reporting the truth to the American people. You know, you might have heard what we were talking about in the news break about pot, and we brought you that story the other day about how they've discovered that even recreational pot use changes the brain. Now, they didn't want to say it was brain damage, but I don't know how it could be anything else. If it's unnaturally changing the structure of the brain, that cannot be good. And I mean, they use terms that I didn't know. I don't know what they mean. The amygdala, I don't know what that's all about. But it sounded bad because it was changing the actual brain structure. And this is just recreational use. Now, here's a story out of Denver, Colorado. Authorities say a Wyoming college student who jumped to his death from a Denver hotel balcony ate more than the recommended serving of a marijuana cookie. Remember, you got all these baked goods, these confections, these candy-looking things that are laced with THC. And so apparently he ate an entire cookie, consumed more than one cookie. His friend buys his cookie from a pot shop. The clerk told the guy, look, cut this thing into 6 pieces and only eat 1 piece. This guy ate the whole thing. And he wound up jumping to his death from a hotel balcony after he began speaking erratically in French and pulling things off the walls. They did an autopsy report, and they list marijuana intoxication as a significant contributing factor in his death. Legalize marijuana? I don't think so. Now let's grab a couple of sound bites from the American people, 61%, our liar in chief. Here is clip number 1. You know, we are the 5th year into President Obama's economy. This is his economy. He's even said, or his spokespeople have even said, we own this thing. This is our economy now. So this is his economy. And listen to him talk as if he didn't have anything to do with it, as if his hands are completely clean of any responsibility. Some mysterious forces out there are gumming things up and making it hard for me to do my job. I got nothing to do with this. Let's listen.
And so the truth is, Joe and I, we were talking about this the other day. We sometimes sound like a broken record because we've been talking about this for 6, 7, 8 years, ever since we've been in public office. But it's more urgent than ever now that we move forward and we know what to do. We're pushing a 4-part opportunity agenda. And the first part is more good jobs paying good wages. Manufacturing jobs, construction jobs, jobs in energy, jobs in innovation, jobs in infrastructure, rebuilding our roads and our bridges, putting people back to work. There's a lot more we could be doing.
As Joe Wilson would say,
there are also those who claim that our reform efforts would ensure illegal immigrants. This, too, is false. The reforms I'm proposing would not apply to those who are here illegally.
You lie. That's Joe Wilson. 61% of the American people agreeing with Joe Wilson that the president is a liar. This is very disturbing. This ought to be extremely disturbing to all of us. I mean, I think you look at George Bush, for instance, you look at Ronald Reagan in comparison, and whatever you thought about them, you knew in your heart that these were decent men, that they were trustworthy men, that they were going to level with the American people, that they were going to operate on the basis of truth and on the basis of integrity and the basis of conscience. And I didn't always agree with either of them, President Bush particularly, and some of his, I didn't agree with him, but I had no doubt that he was doing it sincerely and that he wasn't doing these things for purely political purposes. But now we have 61% of the American people think that our president is a liar. I think that is very, very bad for the American political process. Now here is clip number 2. This is President Obama. And again, think about the fact that this is his economy now. He's been running the show for 5 years. It was his stimulus plan, almost $1 trillion worth, 800 some billion dollars worth. It was his stimulus plan that he talked Congress into passing that was supposed to fix all of this. And now he's talking as if he doesn't know what happened. It had nothing to do with it. Let's listen, clip 2.
But here's the challenge, and a lot of folks here know it. A lot of people don't feel that progress in their own lives yet. So the stock market's doing great. Corporate profits are soaring. Folks at the very, very top are doing better than ever. But too many Americans, if they're lucky enough to have a job, are working harder and harder just to get by, much less to get ahead. For too many middle-class Americans, it feels as if the same trends that have been going on for decades are continuing. Right? You're working hard, but wages flatline, incomes flatline, cost of everything else going up.
You know, and I don't understand why people aren't booing him. I mean, he was the one that came into office promising that he would fix all of this, that he was going to bring prosperity to the middle class, that this $1 trillion was going to go into shovel-ready projects, and we were instantly going to have bridges and new roads springing up all over the fruited plain, and people were going to be going back to work. And he's admitting that his economic program is an utter, absolute, catastrophic failure. And this is what is just kind of amazing to me, that the people listening to him don't realize that he's admitting his own utter, absolute, incompetent ineptitude, and the media doesn't seem to tumble to it and write about that. He's confessing that his administration, his presidency, economically is a total, absolute failure. A lot of people don't feel progress in their own lives yet. For too many middle-class Americans, it feels as if the same trends that have been going on for decades are continuing. It's amazing to me. You know, he says the only part of our economy that's doing well is the stock market. You know why the stock market is doing great? It's totally bogus. It's a totally inflated spike in the stock market. Yeah, it's going up, but that's because the Federal Reserve is pumping $85 a month into Wall Street. That's where the money is going. The money that Bernanke and now Janet Yellen down there in the basement, they're cranking it out. It's just monopoly money. It's not backed by anything of substance. It's not backed by anything, by any wealth. It's just monopoly money, and they're pumping it into Wall Street to buy stocks. That's why stock prices are going up. That's why the stock market is doing well, not because the economy is healthy, but because Ben Bernanke and Janet Yellen are pumping so much monopoly money into the economy, and it's going straight into Wall Street. It's not going to you. It's not going to me. It's going to the people that run Wall Street, a perfect case of crony socialism. So that's why it's doing well. It's a completely inflated bubble, and that puppy is going to burst one of these days, and it's not going to be pretty. One last clip before we go to the break. Clip 3, Arne Duncan, immigration back in the news. Here's Arne Duncan basically celebrating illegal immigration, saying it is inspiring. Let's listen.
They're trying to get a great education. These are children and families who are trying to live the American dream, who are putting everything on the line to get a great education. And it's frankly inspiring to me. Then obviously here in Columbus, something I've just never seen before. You have children who are American citizens at the local elementary school, Columbus Elementary. And the majority of the kids travel back and forth across the border every single day. And for parents to have their courage to drop their 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds off, to send them here to chase the American dream, to get a better education, to contribute to society.
So Arne Duncan just excited about the wonders of illegal immigration. Well, we all want children from other countries to get an education. We want that for them. Here's how you do it. We have their educators come to America, and we show them how we educate. Well, I don't know if you want to do that today, but we could show them how it's done. Here's how you educate. Now, you take these lessons, go back home, and build schools to do and to imitate what you have seen in the United States. That's how we show our love for children in other countries who need an education. Got a story here about how under President Obama, court deportations have dropped 43% in the past 5 years. There are virtually no deportations taking place right now under Obama. All those deportations he was bragging about, these were people that were caught at the border and turned back. He counted them. Nobody before him ever did. Back in 2.